Hi, and a huge welcome to Steve's Kitchen. I hope you've been enjoying the bread series so far. And for those of you joining me on the sourdough starter, comment down below actually if you are. I'd love to know who is making their own sourdough starters. We're going to be making today a delicious and very simple to make raisin bread with a little bit of spice in there. It's one of my favorites and it's very simple to make. So come on, let's get going. I am starting again with a strong bread flour. We're going to go for 400 grams, which is about 14 ounces. And as I say, weighing is important when you're making bread. Pop that into our mixing bowl. I've got my sourdough starter here. It's lovely and bubbly. We're going for about 100 grams, which is 3.5 ounces. I'm going to add that in with my flour. I'm taking 240 grams. That is 8.5 ounces of mineral water. Again, into my bowl. A teaspoon and a quarter of salt. Now I'm going to weigh out 150 grams of golden raisins. That's about 5.3 ounces. Now, I'm deliberately keeping this a simple raisin bread. If you want to add other dry fruits like apricots, just make sure the pieces are not too big. Now I'm using 2 teaspoons of mixed spices. I'm actually using nutmeg, cinnamon and ginger, but you could use any regular mixed spice or a pumpkin spice. And the last thing I'm going to pop in is 1/4 cup of molasses. I'm actually using Treacle, but you could use any molasses. You could use a soft brown sugar as well. Just pop that in on top. I'm just going to get my fork in here now and mix this through. Now, it looks more like a cake than it does bread at the moment. We've got this fairly wet and shaggy dough. I'm just going to start with a fork, end with my hand, get any loose flour off the side. And that's all the kneading I'm going to do. All we're going to do now is cover this over with some plastic wrap. Find somewhere in the house not too cold, and we're just going to leave this overnight, at least 12 hours. And then when we come back, I'll show you what we do next. Now come and take a look just how beautifully this has risen. I'll just uncover it. I mean, this is testament to just how good the sourdough starter is. It's managed to actually rise the dough, develop all this beautiful structure, and also lift the fruit. I'm going to second proof my loaf inside a Pyrex dish like this, except for I'm going to have it upside down. Now you could proof it in a Dutch oven or a clay pot. You could also do it on a flat baking tray like this, but you are going to need something to cover it over with that's high enough for the bread to rise, because we're going to be trapping the moisture in for the first part of this bake. So whether you use a tray, a Dutch oven or Pyrex as I'm doing, and whether you go this side or this side, I want to scatter a little flour on the surface. A very tiny amount of flour on my countertop. We're not going to knock this dough down, but we're going to tease it out of the bowl. And then what I want to do is just stretch it out and fold it. Turn it round, fold it again, turning it on the side here. Now this is a much drier dough than the normal no knead doughs, so it's easier to handle. That's why I don't need a lot of flour on the counter. Turn this round again, fold it over. So now we've got our folded surface on the top. I'm going to turn this dough over. And then what I'm going to do is cup my hands like this and just draw the dough, pull the dough towards me, turn it and pull it. This is going to create some tension in the dough itself. So we're sort of dragging our sides of our hands, and don't worry about the fruit being on the top. I'm just pulling this round, creating a nice bit of tension in the surface of the dough. So I've made this sort of ball of dough here, which I'm now going to gently lift up, and I'm placing it seam side down on my flour there. And then we're going to cover this over, and that will trap the moisture inside, and we're going to find somewhere not too cold in the house, reasonably warm, just to leave this for a couple of hours until it's at least doubled in size. Now my loaf has risen beautifully. I've preheated my oven to 230 degrees Celsius, that's about 450 Fahrenheit. Want it nice and hot. When I pop the loaf in, I'm going to turn it down to 200 degrees Celsius, that's about 400 Fahrenheit. Now just cut a slit into the top of the bread just to allow it to expand. You can use a crosshatch or any sort of style you like. We're going to bake this for the first 30 minutes with the lid on, and the natural moisture in the bread is going to create a beautiful steam oven. And unlike the previous no-bake loaf, we're going with a cold dish to start with. After 30 minutes, I'm going to take the lid off of this and just give it about 10 minutes to go a lovely golden brown on top. Now look, this smells gorgeous. Take a look at this. You want that dark caramelized top like that. It's a lovely thick crust on it. I'm going to take this out and pop it on a rack to cool down, and then we'll give it a try. Now I just can't wait. Look how lovely and crispy. The house smells gorgeous. This is still piping hot. Shouldn't really cut it open now, but I can't resist. Comment down below if you love your raisin bread or fruit bread. How gorgeous is that? Still steaming. Now it's a lovely aerated crust. It's too hot. I shouldn't have cut it just yet, but I couldn't resist it. I'm going to cut another piece off here. Add a little bit of salted butter on there. You know it's sourdough. It's got that very distinct sourdough smell, and I know this is going to taste absolutely delicious. Oh, heavenly. That has just the perfect amount of sweetness and fruit in it. It is so delicious. Now, if you've been following the series, and if you joined me making the sourdough starter early on at the beginning of the basic bread series, and you decide to make this, please let me know what you think down below in the comments. Get some photographs, share them across on social media. And if you've enjoyed this video, share the love, give it the thumbs up, and we will see you for another video very shortly. Take care.